You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, 81 down, one more to go for the Celtics as they're about to embark on what we are hoping is going to be a long run to a 19th NBA title in franchise history. Friday night, the penultimate game of the season. The Celtics reached 60 wins on the year for back-to-back seasons. We're going to discuss that plenty more. We welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college hoops play-by-play announcer, former show host, satellite radio, ESPN radio, was the last man on the JV hoop squad for Division III SUNY Brockport for one semester back during my college days. You're locked on with our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as a Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. On our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to talk about Jrue being recognized with Reds Award, the Celtics reaching 60, Hauser and Pritchard knocking down threes. The Celtics as a team knocked down plenty of threes from the second quarter on. They pulled away from the Hornets in the third quarter with a 37-point third. They almost scored 80 points total in the fourth. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit that comment button and join the conversation. You can also give a follow at Lennox on Hoops on X, formerly known as Twitter. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off on your first purchase. So the Celtics and Hornets, two teams opposite directions. Celtics trying to avoid a second straight loss after losing to Orlando a couple of nights ago. Hornets entered Friday on a 5-game losing streak and having dropped 10 of their previous 11. Well, they've now dropped 6 in a row overall and 8 straight on the road. Game tied at 25 apiece after the first quarter. Game at the half, just a 1-point game. Celtics up by 1. But the third quarter, the Celtics opened things up. Celtics opened up on a 17-6 run in the third, up 71-59. They went from there. I'd say you could have put it over on the Red Sox game if you're a Red Sox and Celtics fan, but you didn't need to do that because the rest of the game was fun. Because the starters got their action, Joe Mazzulla taking them out, and the bench squad sort of went crazy. The stay ready group, right? They weren't ready necessarily against Orlando, a free pass. And I really thought during the day on Friday that if Joe Mazzulla had rested his top 6 the way he did a couple of nights ago in Orlando, this team would have responded in kind. Because I think the Celtics, even without their top 6, the way they played against Orlando the other night, could have beaten this Hornets team. Hornets have no interest in winning right now. Now, I will say this. They played hard. They just don't have the same talent. They really don't. So Hauser in that third quarter, during that run, 17-6, Tatum had 7, Cornette had 5, Hauser knocked down a 3, White a 3, Celtics up 14, Hauser a 3, up 84-69, Hauser another 3, 7 threes in the quarter. Hauser was 3 of 3. Tatum had 11 for the quarter and 16 through 3. White had 10 in the quarter, 19 through 3. And the Celtics were a plus 16 in the third quarter and scored 37 points total. They led 91-75 going to the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, they outscored the Hornets 39-19. Win 130-94. And they pulled away in the third quarter, and basically it was, hey, we let them kind of hang around in the first half. Let's get going here, and let's move on. But there's a couple of numbers, and we do numbers of the night in segment number 2 if you're with us for the first time on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. But it's sports, so we count everything, as Billy Chappell once said in the baseball movie For Love of the Game. And the Celtics, hey, it was Dick Light night. He was on with Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine. That's our first NBC Sports Boston reference. But Scalabrine said at some point in the game, I was going back and forth between the Red Sox and Celtics for a while. We'll have Locked On Red Sox postcast coming up as well after they wrap up their series finale. Or series opener, rather, in Chicago against the White Sox. And right now, keep your focus on the Celtics. Right now, to me, in many ways, the Red Sox don't deserve your focus. But we'll get into that on Locked On Red Sox Postcast. But the Celtics, Dick Leip, who is the statistician for Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine, he was on the broadcast, and he was terrific. And, hey, you steal numbers and you give him credit as credit goes. But the plus-minus for the Celtics, Porzingis was actually a -3. And if you've been with us before, you know I only do plus-minus, not in extreme circumstances, but Porzingis was a -3. I bring that up because he was the only plus-minus guy in the game. Let's go to the bench guys. Torrey Craig, +20. Baylor Shireman. Let me get this right. No, sorry. Neemias Queta was +20. Shireman was +16. Cornette was +19 off the bench. Pritchard, +16. Pritchard led the way with 22. And Hauser was right behind him. Hauser knocking down 6 threes. And the Celtics 23 threes in the victory. And a blowout win against the Hornets. The Celtics did exactly what they were supposed to do. We'll see how Sunday plays out. We're going to get into more of Jaylen Brown, and I give Jaylen Brown all the credit in the world if, in fact, he said, you know what, I need to get ready for the playoffs. Not playing Friday night, ruled out during the day on Friday. Actually, I think he might have been ruled out early. Might have been ruled out on Thursday. I apologize if I don't have that exact. But Gary Washburn, Boston Globe, did a great job writing up on Jaylen Brown. I'm going to get to that in the second segment. So Jaylen Brown needed to play in the final 2 games in order to be eligible. This isn't about Jaylen Brown. He wants to play. But he also knows big picture, I need to get my knee ready to go for the playoffs. But he's not going to be eligible for all NBA teams because he's not going to get the required 65 games. Shame on the guys present and in the recent years where they had to institute this rule that you have to play 65 games minimum to be eligible for postseason awards. This rule should not exist. And I'll get more into that with Gary Washburn's article in the Boston Globe in the last 24 hours, coming up, segment number 2. And I think that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about. Right now, we're going to be talking about what you want to talk about as we hit the comment section. Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, you're with us. Hit the comments. The Real Darrell gets us going. Let's get ready for the real season next weekend. All about Banner 19. Yeah, it is. And this is the culmination Sunday of the regular season. It could be 61 wins. You're not that far off. You know, there were 5 or 6 games behind last year's pace for quite a while. February, and then March, they got closer and closer. They're going to fall just short of last year's win total. But back-to-back 60-win seasons, it's impressive for this group. It really is. Again, I think we acknowledge, and I think there's also an appreciation. That's why I've enjoyed doing this all season long. Sunday's going to be game 82. I think we missed 6 total. And that's on me. It's not on you. But there's an appreciation for what the Celtics are doing and trying to win back-to-back NBA titles. And as the Real Darrell said, Banner 19. These guys come out and play. And we sort of had an inkling that, yeah, Joe Mazzulla rested the top 6 a couple of nights ago in Orlando. I think to a man in this organization, to a person in this organization, they knew we're not going to do this at home. We'll do this on the road. Do I think all 6 are out on Sunday? I wouldn't be surprised either way. Maybe they get some run. But the Celtics can easily just simply go out there, not just show up, roll the ball out, and say we're going to win. But you could win 61 games in the regular season, and I really don't doubt them on any level that that's exactly what they're going to do against the Charlotte Hornets, who played well for a half, but you could really see very similar. I don't know that Celtics knocked down 23 threes, but Charlotte didn't defend the three-point line very well. PK Tattoos, rest them all Sunday. Just getting to this comment. Look forward to the playoffs. And I'd have no problem with that. And PK Tattoos wouldn't, and I think a majority of Celtic fans understanding big picture, you do that. But again, I think since it's a home game, people might be at that game for the first time this year. And there are guys that will say, you know what? Let us play. Let us play the first half. Let us play the first quarter. Now, is the injury a possibility? Yeah, it is. But it's been that way for 81 games now, plus the preseason. Scott checking in. Let's go Celtics. There you go. Scott checking in. Nashua, he says, no big Celtics fan. Not a big Celtics fan? All right, Scott. Well, welcome aboard. One more from PK Tattoos. Who would you rather see in the first round, Hawks or Orlando? Brian Scalabrine didn't hesitate when Drew Carter posed the question. He said Orlando. I would say the Magic too. Again, I want the team that you're going to end the series as quickly as possible. If you think that's Orlando, then I go Orlando. If you think they can run right through the Atlanta Hawks, go right ahead. But right now, this from earlier today on Twitter, at playoff status, shared by Celtics on, what was the handle? Celtics All Access. So there you go with NBC Sports Boston, I believe it is. But going into Friday, Magic 49% to be the first round opponent. Hawks 44%, Bulls 6%, Heat less than 1%. Now, teams playing on Friday, those may change, but it was 49% for the Magic. I don't think the Celtics, overall, I think they beat both. But if Trae Young gets going in a game, they could sneak out and go back to Atlanta 1-1 in the series. And it's a matter of how connected those teams are going to be. Can they go back to Atlanta or Orlando 1-1? They could. But over the course of a long playoff series, the Celtics absolutely have the advantage against either one of those squads. So Scal says Orlando. I say simply, whoever you believe, you're going to run through like a hot knife through butter quicker. Meaning, how fast can you end the first round playoff series? Boston needs, from the Real Darrell, Boston needs to win the first round in 5. Yeah, we're on the same page there, the Real Darrell, and get some rest. Detroit and New York, going to be a dogfight. Yeah, let them play it out. And in the second round, I think I'd rather see the Knicks and let them go batter it out. Let those two teams out. It's going to be a fun first round series. Detroit, great story for this year, and I don't think they're done. I think they've got that edge, that chip, where it's like, you know what? We've gone this far. We've improved so much from last year. Let's keep running it. Let's keep it going in the playoffs. Len checking in. Let's go Celtics. Bring number 19 back to the Garden. It's on the table. Absolutely going to the playoffs right now thinking this team's going to defend last year's NBA title. 100%. Again, I said I was going to get more into Jaylen Brown. Plus, minus, off the charts across the board. Starters and bench players. And we've got one more on Sunday as the Celtics won big at home Friday night. And you know what? It was a fun game to watch because everyone was connected. Kada, Torrey Craig. And how about J.D. Davison and the throwdown that he had late in the game? Give that a 50 from the judges on a dunk contest. Again, more Jaylen Brown when we come back. Celtics victorious, 60th win on the season. That's going to be part of Numbers of the Night coming up in just a few minutes. But the Celtics pick up the win in impressive fashion against the Hornets Friday night at TD Garden. We are presented by Game Time. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute Major League Baseball showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. Finding great seats at a great price, well, that used to be a challenge. Right now, you know all about, and we want to tell you all about Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer, and with their all-in pricing, you see the total cost up front, no surprises at checkout. Here's why you are going to love using Game Time. Last-minute deals save up to 60% off buying last-minute sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You can grab last-minute seats for Celtics games and save big with their zone deals. With seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and the lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Their lowest price guarantee means you're never going to worry about overpaying for your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create your account. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. Again, terms apply. And use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Locked On Celtics Postcast also brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player in the NBA drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. Simple, when a player scores 50 or more during the 24-25 NBA regular season. I think we're going to see someone drop 50 over the final 3 games of the regular season, the final 3 days. But again, it's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off on an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon until midnight. Here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. Game time feast after an epic 50-point performance. Celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, burgers from your favorite spot, delivered straight to your door. Late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use DoorDash to grab something delicious while saving big. Lunch on the go, need a quick and easy lunch the next day? With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees, reduced service fees, plus now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up right now, Dash Pass, and be ready to save. When a player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game performance on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Celtics win big against the Hornets, 60th win of the season. Back-to-back 60-win seasons for the Celtics. That's part of Numbers of the Night coming up in just a few moments.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Talked on and touched on Jaylen Brown. Out of the lineup Friday, out of the lineup. I mean, you say likely, but they'll probably put it on the injury report sometime Saturday. He's not going to play Sunday as well. So you've got this rest. It's going to be almost a 2-week rest. And we see where Jaylen Brown is then going. Now, I saw on social media, you're going to find out, we'll find out the significance of this injury if somehow, some way, he does not play in the first round series. Now, if he's not available for the first round, we know it's a serious injury. All we've heard about is pain threshold. But if he's not in the opening round series, the opposing team may use that to say, hey, this is what they think of us. They think they can rest one of their best players for the second round of the playoffs. We'll see. That's been floated. I don't know. We don't know where that is right now. If there's some real seriousness behind that or not. Might have it early next week. But Gary Washburn, who I love, covers the Celtics, covers the NBA for the Boston Globe. If Jaylen Brown had tried to play, I'll give you the quote and part of the story, just a little paragraph from Gary Washburn in a moment. But if Brown had tried to play the final 2 games of the regular season, he would have been eligible for awards. And there are people who would stand on a hill and claim, well, he's being selfish, he's out for the individual awards. It's one of those no-win situations to a certain degree. I respect that Jaylen Brown, the Celtics, say, hey, we need you going forward. You're not going to reach that 65-game plateau. It's not what he's doing. He's taking the rest right now. And they probably had this mapped out to a certain degree. But what Gary Washburn wrote in the Boston Globe over the last day, can't blame Brown for wanting to play instead of being part of a generation of players who want constant rest and have no issue with missing games. Even in their heart, they know they're healthy enough to play. I've been on that hill for a while. Jaylen Brown wants to play. Tatum sprains his ankle on a 6-game road trip. People are speculating he's going to miss the rest of the regular season. The Celtics would be smart not to play him. He was back 2 games later. And before that, well chronicled that Tatum comes to the gym. They may talk to him the prior game and say, hey, we're going to see how you feel the next game. And he comes ready to play. And again, that's an appreciation I have built over the course of this NBA season, covering this team for Locked On Sports with the Locked On Celtics Postcast. Because you've seen it over the course of this entire season. Those guys want to answer the bell every single game if they're up to it, if they're capable physically. So, again, kudos. I don't know if Brown has incentives in his contract where if you make an all-NBA team, and people have made the point, there are a lot of guys right now who aren't eligible, so he boosts up the ladder. John Corrales, Locked On Celtics, saying, if Brown's being considered for an all-NBA team, Derrick White's got to be there as well. And I think Derrick White is deserving of recognition. Is he all-NBA first team? No. But certainly should be in consideration. So the Celtics pick up the victory. Numbers of the night. 16-21. And one more to go. 14-4 this season, by the way, when Jaylen Brown is out of the lineup. Won 5 in a row against the Hornets and 5-0 against Charlotte at TD Garden. The Celtics, 3-0 on the season against Charlotte, and one more to go in the regular season. Now 19-2 on the season without a loss. The Celtics are going to have two-game losing streaks for the entire NBA regular season. That's their top players, that's their bench players answering the bell when they can throughout the course of the year. That's a tip of the cap to the Celtics players for the year, the organization, Joe Mazzulla, his staff, and his training staff, his athletic training staff as well. So the Celtics, again, post 60 wins in the season. Second straight year they've done that. And prior to the last 2 years, it had been a while. But they get there. They get there for the season. As the Celtics, again, it had been a while. I'm trying to find exactly where I have it in the notes. Yeah, 60 straight seasons. 15th time in franchise history where they've won 60 or more. Back-to-back 60-win seasons for the first time since when they won 66 for the 07-08 season, and that year they won the NBA title. Next year, trying to defend their NBA title, they won 62 in the regular season for 08-09, and they lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals. NBA Finals or bust. One more game, some rest, some deserved rest because you've put yourself in this situation, and then you move forward with the NBA playoffs. The play-in tournament, yeah, you'll watch it, but you find out who they're playing, and then you sort of go from there. It'll be interesting to see how competitive those games are. Celtics knocked down 23 threes in the victory. Turning point of this game, simply the third quarter, when they put up 37, and they almost put up 80 in the second half as well.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Who you got? I got to go Hauser, leading scorer off the bench, knocked down 6 threes, 7 of 12 overall. Had the 20. Pritchard ended up with 22. But Pritchard with the 22, knocking down 4 of 5 threes. But Hauser, I'm going to give him player of the game. 5 rebounds as well for Hauser. And, hey, we got that production element in there. What's next? The final game of the regular season, Sunday. And we'll be on within minutes of the final buzzer and the final game of the NBA regular season for the Boston Celtics. And it could very well be a 61-win regular season as the Celtics will embark on defending last year's NBA title. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Tip our cap to you for being on with us on this Friday night. Locked On Sports, your team, your Boston teams, and your Celtics every day.